Welcome to the Roots of Success, the premier landscapers podcast that brings you the latest tips and strategies for successful landscape business. I'm Jim Calley, one of the principals and coaches of McFarland Stanford. Jason New and I started McFarland Stanford to coach landscape businesses after years in the industry ourselves. Now, more than 10 years since we began, McFarland has a deep bench of coaches and subject matter experts who work with our clients on very specific issues of business. Whether you're struggling with people, profits, or just day-to-day challenges, our coaches and guests have the real-world experience and practical advice to help you build a thriving and profitable landscape business.
Hi, I'm Jason New, co-founder, principal, and a coach at McFarland Stanford.
And a big part of what we do now is working in ACE peer groups. And we lead ACE peer groups, which is green industry landscape business owners who come together that we get to learn from each and every day. And as we work together, we get to host and work with people like Andrew, who is owner of Andrew's Lawn and Landscaping, and GoGreen Lawn and Pest Control, who's joining us today for Roots of Success podcast. So we're happy to have Andrew here. We're in a special time with his transition and what he's doing right now. He has done what most companies go through at some point in their career, but he's done it sooner than most of us. He's exited both companies, not only one, but two of your companies you sold in recent time. And so we're here to learn about that today and kind of your journey.
Yeah.
So we're happy to have you here.
Thanks.
So as we work through today, first, where did it start? How did you get into landscaping? Where did it begin?
Started in high school. I started cutting grass, maybe before high school, but I hired my mom to drive me around when I was 15, and she would drive me around to customers' houses, and she would operate the walk behind and weed whack, and we would drive around and cut grass together. And she worked for me for a couple years until I hired another employee, one of my high school friends, and then we just kept growing from there and kept going.
Heck yeah. So mom got in on the crew and y'all did the properties together.
Yep, she loved it. She got to be out in the sun and get exercise at the same time. She just would not back the trailer up. That was not in her job description. We only went forward.
I love that. So as you started building this and you started working through high school, was it always the plan at that point to say, I'm going to turn this into a bigger business for yourself?
There was never really a plan until I would say I got out of college. I went to Penn State for landscape contracting and had two crews working for me remote while I was at college. I would come home every weekend, work with them, meet clients, do estimates, take phone calls, and it really just kept growing and growing and growing after I got out of college. But there was no plan to say build a large successful landscaping business, just something to do to make money.
Nice. And you kept this going during college?
Yes.
Yeah. So like so many business owners, they just can't let go of it. It's a great way to get started, momentum, cash flow. And it sounds like you've done a really incredible job of keeping that going over time as well. As we're jumping into some of the topics today, one of the things I like to ask is just, tell us about the early days. As you're jumping into Andrew's Lawn and Landscaping, that's the first business you started. Talk to us about when you left college and what some of the early days looked like for you.
The early days were long. Sun up to sundown, we would just work. And this was before I had any software or technology or any real profitability systems. It was more just, hey, let's go work and get as much work done as we could. Mostly maintenance and mostly residential maintenance, just cutting grass and mulching and trimming bushes for residential clients within a 5 or 10 mile radius of my house.
Yeah. And just for our audience, what service area was that? Like, where were you located?
The suburbs of Philadelphia, Westchester, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, beautiful area. Gone there, some of the best food. Cheesesteak sandwiches, I've learned you can't call them Philly cheesesteak sandwich when you're in Philly, so I learned that along the way. What were some key moments when you started seeing this really starting to become a business for you that were turning points?
I would say getting the strong team in place and seeing that things were not always reliant on myself.
Yeah.
So getting strong field operations, strong leadership, people to pick up the phone, do the bookkeeping, and that really helped our growth. And that's one of the things that I could say makes us so successful is the strong team we had and picking up the phone and doing what we say we're going to do.
Yeah. And just to get an understanding of how this looks, are you doing this out of your house? Do you have an office at this time?
We worked out of my house for probably 3 to 5 years after college, and then moved to a shop, and then moved to a larger shop, and that's where the landscaping company is still today.
That's awesome. How quickly you made that happen. When did it become real? Like you realized you've got something that you can grow with beyond what you thought, it was going to be when it started.
When do people ask me when I was not going to get a real job?
Yeah, that's the best way to do it. Yeah.
I don't it's hard to say when it became real. I would say that some point after college, when we knew that it was just, this is what I'm going to do, is when it became real. And definitely when the lawn care company GoGreen Lawn and Pest started, was the starting of something real, which was probably about 10 years ago. Okay. So there was still a long period of time where it was, is this a career or is this just a way to make money?
Yeah, it left hobby business to, we've got something that's significant here that can take care of family and I can grow with.
Yeah, at one point in time when both businesses were combined, before either of them had exited, we had over 100 employees.
What would you say are some of the things you did at that time when you brought that together, you realized it was real, that you put in place so that you could become scalable? As you're growing, you're like, I have to put these things in place.
One of the probably best roles that helped with the people aspect was having someone dedicated in HR who helped manage the people and made sure we followed the rules, hired, and really helped with culture at the company. And we really tried to take care of our people. Also having strong leadership roles within the general manager of the lawn care department and the general manager of the landscaping department. Not having to be the guy for everything helps.
So, all right, Andrew, we know that you have two companies, Andrew's Lawn and Landscaping, GoGreen Lawn and Pest Control. I want to go through a little bit more of background of like what each company does and then ideal clients, that type of thing. So Andrew's Lawn and Landscaping, all residential. Maybe you take us through what your services are.
So Andrew's Lawn and Landscaping started as a 100% residential grass cutting company. And over time, we added on additional services, enhancements, small construction jobs, nothing like pools, no large patios, like more of a homeowner construction enhancement company. And then over time, we started to grow into commercial and really started pushing commercial. Today, the company is probably more than 60%, leaning towards that 70% commercial maintenance focused. And we found that commercial is just a much more scalable and easier model than working for hundreds, if not thousands, of residential clients. And to the point of GoGreen, GoGreen was a split. Andrews always did fertilization, but then we rebranded GoGreen as a fertilization only company. Mm-hmm. That was about 10 years ago, and that was 100% single family homes service to the homeowner of lawn fertilization, aeration and overseeding. And then right around COVID time is when we added on pest control, and grew that business to a couple thousand clients that we service their homes. So at the time of GoGreen's exit, it was still a lawn care and pest control company that was 90-some% residential service based.
And did that get a start from the residential client base from Andrew's Lawn and Landscaping?
It did. It got a start from Andrew's Landscaping, and then along the way I purchased a couple smaller lawn care companies to help us grow in certain regions and markets.
Okay. If you don't mind me asking, if you're going through the Andrew's Lawn and Landscaping, and you said 70% or so is around commercial maintenance, is there a segment, a type of commercial maintenance? Some people get into large portfolio campus work, or is it municipalities? Is it HOA?
It's a mix of all commercial. Half the commercial is probably HOA.
Okay, nice. Which falls in the customer service side, that culture that you're building.
One, we value customers that value quality work. We're not the lowest price company out there. We do a good job and we follow through with what we do.
All right, at GoGreen, how did you reach your client base there? Like, how did you get more clients and grow beyond where you started?
GoGreen was very focused on marketing, and marketing was always a budget item that we budgeted for every single year. We had a inbound and outbound call team, and that is one of the things that really helped GoGreen grow, is having 100% dedicated sales team. It's definitely a different personality and mindset than someone who's out there working in the field doing the work.
Yeah. I had an opportunity because of peer groups and working with you. We got a chance to come see your offices and meet your team. We got to see it much later, obviously, as you worked on this. But I love the culture you have and the people you have, and how it seemed like they became great friends as long as colleagues as well. My favorite one of the things is the swear jar, which was a fun, cool thing. It's a random deal that we don't run into. How did that come about?
I don't know how some of the things, I'm not sure how they come about, but we really do try and just have fun at work. And I can say, even still to this day, even though I'm not working day to day with some of the employees at GoGreen, like, we're still close friends, and actually was away with them on vacation this weekend. So it's really, making friends and lifelong, friends at work.
Absolutely. Whenever you looked at GoGreen as a part of the relationship with Andrew's Lawn and Landscaping, how did your roles vary in those two things? How did you spend time between each company, and how that looks on a day-to-day?
So once I started GoGreen, my focus was more on GoGreen, because I saw that avenue as more of a sellable and scalable business, because there was less reliant on labor, and it was something that we could easily market and grow that customer base. It definitely was a lot in the early days until we got a larger footprint under us, but even having strong leadership at GoGreen, it still was the primary focus. It really was also seasonal. Like, we started a little bit earlier with the fertilization business, so that spring rush would almost be ending by the time the landscaping spring rush would start.
Yeah.
And then everything was on autopilot until the fall, pretty much.
Yeah. So how the roles, I guess, for both sides? You would attend meetings, you ran it as CEO of both companies.
We called it visionary, but I was the CEO of both companies. I would help in any aspect as needed. I tried to rely on my day-to-day operations team to do what's needed, but help in any ways they needed help. We did share an office space up until the last 2 years. We had to split because we didn't have enough room, but it was consolidated in the office, and I was there sitting next to anybody who needed assistance. So it was not necessarily two different places I needed to be.
As you're going through, I guess, growth, we all go through obstacles, changes, things that surprise us along the way. Were there any setbacks or like near death, I don't know if I want to do this anymore, moments in your career as you're going through either of these companies?
Not necessarily. We don't there's nothing that comes to mind. There's definitely mistakes that were made, and there's always issues that come up, but we just take them and learn from them and keep moving.
Yeah.
Like, we learn by making mistakes.
Yeah. I think that goes really hand in hand with the culture you wanted to build, is that you can take things like that in stride.
Correct. You have to. It's something new every single day.
I remember us talking about how you celebrated the Eagles winning their Super Bowl a few years back. And being a Cowboys fan, I wasn't really excited to hear about this, but although I thought it was really cool. You had an old van?
Yeah, we had one of our old vans that was wrapped, and we spray painted the side of it and took it to the Eagles parade, and it was just a great team building experience.
I've seen the parades too. Mm-hmm. That's a risk taking anything in those parades, but
yes.
it survived it.
It was fun.
Yeah, it's a ton of fun. How did you balance the time and energy it took to run two companies with having a family, spending some time? I know you're married, but how did you balance all of that?
Well, the majority of the growth came before I had a family, okay.
So
that was the sun up to sundown was not as much of an issue, but it was not as hard as you would think. Really, back to the point of just we had great people, and the entire thing would not be possible if it wasn't for the great people that I have still to this day working at both companies.
Yeah, I agree. You do have some great people. And as you, I guess, working through the process of finding people, working with people that you have right now, maybe you can talk to the tenure of like how long some of the people that you've been working with throughout this.
So at Andrew's Lawn and Landscaping, my enhancement manager has been with me since high school. So
incredible.
And there's some crew leaders that have been working since we worked at my house. So we really do try and take care of our people, and we want to grow with them. At GoGreen, my general manager started from day one as a salesperson, went into sales manager, and now is running the entire organization. And the HR person who I spoke about earlier is still at GoGreen, and she's running the whole show over there, and the company has tripled since we've exited.
Wow, that's incredible. I mean, we measure as part of ACE metrics. We add new metrics each and every year as a way to track, trace, and see where the ACEs are as a whole. And turnover was one that came up many years ago. The amount of turnover that came up. And yours was always extremely low, which was a positive for you. It just shows a strong culture. So that makes a difference. How would you describe your leadership style?
I would say it's fairly hands-off, day-to-day operations, but there as needed for anybody who needs any assistance. My door's always open, my phone's always on ring, anything you need. Feel free to call, but I'm not the kind of person who's going to be telling you how to do your job like that. I expect the team to do the job that's needed and, come to me if there's an issue and we'll solve it together.
Yeah. And you always also have a good pulse of what's on the business. I mean, from our conversations and us knowing each other over time, you tend to know where numbers are, what people are doing, and have a good pulse of the situation.
I would say some of that comes back to we ran EOS, and having the weekly EOS meetings gets everybody involved, and you try and bring up your issues at that meeting and solve things at that meeting, and everyone gets on the same page. We also worked with sharing our financials with the leadership team. Like, we were not hiding our success or failures. We all worked together to be transparent about how things were going.
Nice. As you're working through kind of your philosophies on the team and how you led that, what would you say are some things to get a good culture started? For our audience, there may be some that are struggling with this, who think they may have a good culture, but have turnover, have challenges, have obstacles. How do you feel like are some things that would help people build a good culture?
We always took care of our people, meaning we paid them well. We never missed a payroll. We always celebrate wins. We celebrate birthdays. We celebrate anniversaries. We have things on the calendar at the beginning of the year that are going to be celebrated throughout the year. We had a field day. we have end of the year parties, we have 4th of July parties, Labor Day parties. So we really try and get the guys together at the end of the day or throughout the day for a barbecue or a picnic, and try and get the whole team involved, so you're not just going to work, you have some friends at work.
Love that. What a great concept. There's some of the assessments I've seen over time, and the team member engagement. One of the great questions that come out of that, Andrew, and I've learned over time, is do you have a friend at work? And if your team members can actually say, I have a friend at work, it's amazing how easy it is to come back to work every day.
Yes.
So totally, I can hear that. When did selling your companies first enter the picture, or enter your thoughts?
I had always thought that GoGreen would be a company I would sell at some point, but definitely not at this point in my career. My children are still young. I definitely thought I'd be selling the company when they're off in college, and then I could sail off into the sunset. But just the number of emails and phone calls I received for people looking to acquire us, I started talking to some of them, and I found a partner that just seemed to make sense and really liked what I heard, and that's kind of how it all started. There was no plan to sell at this point in time, or at any point in time in the near future.
Yeah. So this was purely by an accidental meeting, or someone reached out to you.
Yeah, cold call.
And I know that's happened to others.
Mm-hmm.
What was that like? What was the experience of going through the initial process of meeting this person and going through that for you?
It was exciting. It was definitely was an opportunity. It was something that I would do again. Like, it's not like I'm saying this was horrible. Like, it was a good experience, and I have nothing bad to say about the partners I've chose and how things worked.
Mm-hmm. We encourage people to go through this. It's a great learning process. Learn about your business and your team and what people think are attractive if you were to ever do something like this.
And I would kind of say that, like, I was not necessarily going into the initial conversations as, oh, this is going to come out with a sale. It was like, hey, let's talk and see where it goes. And then the numbers seemed to make sense, and the partnership seemed to make sense. But realistically, working with the right partners that we've partnered with was more important than the dollars, because I wanted to make sure my team was taken care of and they were comfortable with the transition. So, like, I had involved key leadership roles in the initial discussions to make sure that everybody was comfortable with how things were moving as well.
I love that. Which company, by the way, was it?
So GoGreen was the first company, and GoGreen partners with Ned's Home.
Okay.
We are their lawn care platform, and that opportunity to be a platform within a platform really was something that excited us, and it really seemed like a great company to work with. And my leadership team is still in place. They're still working there day to day. I'm not necessarily involved there, but everything is going well, and everyone is happy with how things are going.
Can you share with us some things of how you approached making sure your key team members were taken care of in that process?
I involved my key team members in the discussions, and I wanted them to feel comfortable with the people, and that is kind of how I made sure that we were both comfortable before everything was done, because that is one of the biggest things. I wanted the culture to stay and the people to stay, and I think that is one of the reasons that we were successful and are still successful, is because the team is still there and they're leading the ship in the right direction.
So something that I get asked a lot, and you might remember this or may not, but what's the when did you bring the team involved? Like, when was it a comfort level for you to say, okay, I think the team should be involved in this conversation?
I brought my key 2-3 people in before the letter of intent. Like once I had a letter of intent that I was comfortable with, but wanted to make sure that we were all on the same page and understood where things were going. So it goes, you have these conversations on the phone, you talk, and then you get a letter of intent, and then from the letter of intent, due diligence starts, and that could be anywhere from 30 days to 6 months. I would say more like 90 days, but within that 90-day period, I was bringing my key leadership team into the conversations to make sure they were comfortable with everything that was going on.
And how long was that process for you? From a letter of intent to closing?
Around 90 days.
Around 90 days. So I've seen some close longer, some that's right in the middle. How was that? Like, can you explain some of the feelings that were going through that and some of the decisions going on?
It was not as bad as people made it out to be. Like, I had heard a lot of, due diligence, financial due diligence is going to be very tough. It takes a lot of work. Like, it was not as bad as I had heard. Like, it was, maybe it's because our financials were pretty clean and in line, and we had systems and procedures, but it was more of a information sharing, and they have accountants and financial people that review everything and just make sure that the work you say you have is the work you have. And the numbers that you've put in the past are the numbers that are actually there.
As you, I'm sure you're going to have plenty of people that know you and ask questions of this, but what advice would you give other owners who are starting this process, who are thinking about going through this themselves?
Make sure you pick the right partner. I think that is very important, to make sure you're partnering with the company that you think will take care of your team. Don't just go with the highest bidder. I did not have a broker or sell side advisor. There were so many people coming to me. I took the conversations and felt comfortable with the partners I chose. The other thing I would say is, it's kind of like the old saying, don't go to a bank when you need money, like go when you want it, because you're not like, you don't want to be forced to sell. So both my companies were doing well, and it was never a need. It was more of an opportunity that arose. Yeah. So having a strong leadership team and having strong financials ensured that we were able to get the best numbers on the exit.
That's great feedback. So many people don't know where to start there. And initially you said you started with having a conversation to say you liked working with that person. And that sometimes is all it needed as you get through the rest of it. Yeah,
to that point, like, it was never, I did not know what valuation where they were going to come in at. It was just a conversation, and then it really started to make sense, and it was very attractive, and that's, how we got to where we are today.
Okay, any surprises along the way? Because as you go through this, I imagine not only you're thinking through all the questions, you've got team members that are asking questions, you have family that's asking questions. Any surprises along the way?
There was always surprises in due diligence of additional requests that are needed and legal things that come up from the past that you need to clean up. But to the team member and family aspect, I really waited until the latter half, till we knew we were pretty close to closing. At GoGreen, we announced it to our team right at closing, except for the leadership team. And the same with Andrews, we had a rollout right at closing. The team at Andrews, there's very, very little, if any, change that's happened. And I think if we would not have told them, they would not have even known. Like, it is, there's almost, that's how little day to day has changed for the team level. And GoGreen, it was a little more of a consolidation, because we're now working under the Ned's Home umbrella. So we're cross-selling services to gutter customers within our region, because the company that we partnered with does gutter cleaning, power washing, dryer vent cleaning, and now they're offering lawn and pest control to their customer base.
So this is a learning curve more for the team on the additional services they're going through.
Yes.
And how NEDS works.
Correct.
I guess going for the Andrew's Lawn and Landscaping, you didn't ask you about that, but was the process similar of finding a good partner and you got a call from somebody, or did that look different?
It was a little bit different because I had a relationship with Jerry Schill, and Jerry and I had chatted in the past, and then again it was more of a warm outreach, but like the conversation came up and I was not necessarily looking to sell. It was more of a conversation, and it turned into an LOI that made sense for both of us. And that deal actually closed in April of this year. So we're happy with everything that's going on. I'm still an employee at Andrew's Lawn and Landscaping, still leading the team, and we're continuing to grow in the Philadelphia region.
That's exciting. And that's why you're saying this team hasn't really seen a lot of changes there at this point.
Correct. The team at Andrew's Lawn and Landscaping is still branded as Andrew's Lawn and Landscaping, and nothing has changed with anyone's pay, nothing has changed with anyone's benefits, nothing has changed with our customer base. Everyone has been notified, everyone's happy. We're just continuing to service properties and work towards growing towards the future.
All right, so now with all the extra energy and strategic thought and time, I know you're still working it full time at Andrew's Lawn and Landscaping, but you're not working two companies.
No.
So now you have some additional thoughts and where do you spend your time? What are you putting your effort towards?
So I definitely have less to worry about because now that it's not the 100% liability of running a company is not on my shoulders. But the free time, I spend time with my family and continue to do what I need to at the company, but also focus on my fitness and health and spend as much time as I can with my family.
Yeah, it's fun. And you love travel.
Yes.
So have you traveled anywhere fun as of late for the summer?
We travel most weekends and just get away for quick getaways.
That sounds great. I'm getting to a point right now where I've got a kid in high school that's graduated and going to college in the fall, and I have a kid that's going into high school, and so I see a lot more travel in my horizon. So I can have the ability to jump into some of that.
That was the point where I was looking to sell when my children were exiting high school, but my children are still entering elementary school now, so I've got a little ways away.
Oh my gosh, so much fun.
Yes, things are fun, things are going well.
All right, so fun segment. Breaking into something interesting. I'm going to come back around if there's anything we've missed along the way that you wanted to share. Best tool you've ever bought. What is your favorite tool you've ever bought?
Favorite tool, hands down, software. For GoGreen, we started out with Real Green software and would not have been able to grow the business without that software. And probably 3 years ago, we went on Aspire at Andrew's Lawn and Landscaping, and Aspire has changed the way we bill and manage our company, and we would not be where we are today if we did not have Aspire.
So true, smart. And I feel like so many companies out there who are figuring this out, software has made such a difference. So
100%. It doesn't matter if we're running Dodge trucks or Ford trucks, or Exmark or Skag. If you don't have the right software, you will not be anywhere.
Okay, most ridiculous client request.
Most ridiculous. All right. I can think of one lady after we shoveled her sidewalk and put salt down, needed us to come back with a leaf blower to dry it off because she did not want wet footprints inside of her building.
During a snow event?
Yes, during a snow event.
Okay, good. Did you?
We did.
Okay.
Yes, we stand behind the work we do, and if the client asks us to do something, we will do we'll do what we need to do. And that really is one of the reasons we're so successful, is because when somebody calls, we take the request and we do what we need to do.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Okay. What advice would you give your younger self, giving all the things that you've learned along the way?
Keep going, hire the right people, and take care of your people. And it might go back to that tool question of try and get on the software as early as possible.
Yeah,
it's much easier to get started when you're smaller.
Yeah, that's great. Nice. What's next for you? Is there something new on the horizon that you're considering, or are you looking at other things?
No plans. Enjoying my current time working in Andrew's Lawn and Landscaping, working with the Shell team. I'm not interested in starting another business. I've enjoyed what I've done. I'm having fun doing what I'm doing today. More travel, more time with the family, but no more new startups, that's for sure.
And I know you've been invited, of course, to join us back at ACE Connect again this year and be a part of the alumni group. So you planned on attending another event with us, so that's always going to be a great time.
Yep, that's correct.
And if there's a way for people to connect with you, and I'm sure along the way they can find you on LinkedIn.
That's probably the best way. Yep, LinkedIn.
Nice. Andrew, thank you for being with us today.
All right.
I know this audience is learning a ton just by people going through this journey and learning that, you've gone through this since high school. You've exited and sold not only one, but two companies, and culture and software, and some great things I've learned from you today that I've watched you do in person, and it's been incredible to see what you've accomplished.
Thanks.
So congratulations.
Thanks.
And thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Roots of Success, brought to you by the subject matter experts at McFarland Stanford. Have a question you want our coaches to tackle in a future episode? You could submit that at mcfarlandstanford.com/podcast. And to find more helpful content from McFarland Stanford, follow us on X, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. If this or any of our episodes have piqued your interest in ACE peer groups, we encourage you to join us at ACE Discovery. Just check out the events tab at mcfarlandstanford.com. This is Jason New, co-founder and principal at McFarland Stanford. We'll see you next time.